This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
One 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Romesh Pires and read by Geethanjali Ramanaikal. The headlines. The head of state says a number of new initiatives will be proposed in the upcoming budget to further stabilize the economy. The opposition leader calls for an international investigation into the 2019 Easter Sunday terror attacks. Sri Lanka to chair the Indian Ocean Rim Association for the second time. The HRCSL to investigate over 11,000 public complaints. The existing restrictions on vehicle imports to be further eased by the end of this year. The United National Party is commemorating its 77th anniversary today. International news, US warns North Korea would pay a price for any arms deals with Russia. And sports, 2023 Asia Cup, Sri Lanka beat Afghanistan by 2 runs to progress to the Super 4 stage. News in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says a number of new initiatives will be proposed in the upcoming budget to further stabilize the economy. Speaking in Parliament this morning, President Wickremesinghe said they are taking several measures to stabilize the economy while working with international partners, including the International Monetary Fund. The President said while the government is working to provide relief to the people by strengthening the economy, certain factions are attempting to derail the debt restructuring process. The head of state noted that the failure to restructure the debt, both domestic and external, will result in major crisis. Therefore, President Wickremesinghe requested the Parliament, including the opposition, to support the efforts to stabilize the economy by passing necessary legislations. The President accordingly said Parliament must debate and pass the proposed Inland Revenue Amendment Bill as a first step. The President also informed the House that many surprises will be included in the upcoming budget. In Parliament today, the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has called for an international investigation into the 2019 Easter Sunday terror attacks. He said that this is shameful to note that an overseas media investigation is informing that local authorities to trace the masterminds of the Easter attacks. The Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment, Manusha Nanayakkara, told Parliament that the Cabinet had discussed the programme that made serious allegations and it was decided to appoint a Parliament Select Committee to probe the contents of the Channel 4 programme. Furthermore, the no-confidence motion against Minister of Health Kehelia Rambukwala is currently being debated in Parliament. The debate will continue to be held tomorrow and Friday as well. The no-confidence motion against Minister Kehelia Rambukwala is tabled by the Samana Balawegaya. Sri Lanka is slated to assume the chairmanship of the Indian Ocean Rim Association for the period 2023 to 2025 at the forthcoming 23rd Council of Ministers meeting hosted by Sri Lanka on the 11th of October this year in Colombo. The Council of Ministers meeting will be preceded by the 25th meeting of the committee by senior officials. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said in a statement, this is the second time that Sri Lanka is assuming the IORA chairmanship, having previously served as the chair from 2003 to 2004. The Indian Ocean Rim Association is the only intergovernmental regional forum that brings together 23 littoral states of the Indian Ocean. There are also 11 dialogue partners in the association. Sri Lanka is a founding member of the association. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka says it has initiated a new program to promptly investigate around 11,000 complaints directed to the Commission. The Human Rights Commission is headed by Justice L.T.B. Dehideniya since June, and it has taken new steps to address the complaints and mete out justice to the public. Accordingly, investigations will be conducted at its head office and regional offices. Joram preliminary inquiries, it has been determined that complaints that should have been directed to various institutions and commissions have in fact been lodged with the Human Rights Commission. Accordingly, steps have been taken to direct relevant complaints to the Public Service Commission, National Police Commission, the Labour Department and the Consumer Affairs Authority. The Human Rights Commission has emphasized the importance of promptly addressing the complaints and mete out justice to aggrieved parties. The United National Party is commemorating its 77th anniversary today. Issuing a statement, the UNP said in view of the anniversary, religious events will be held at the party headquarters in Sirikota this morning. Events are scheduled to begin at 7:30 a.m. Meanwhile, General Secretary of the UNP, Palitha Rangabandara, said in conjunction with the anniversary, the party will be digitalized in order for the members to connect with the UNP easily. Several other events have also been organized in view of the 77th anniversary of the UNP. The United Nations Party was founded on the 6th of September in 1946 by Don Stephen Senanayake, who later became the first Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, the General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, MP Dayasiri Jayasekara, has been removed from the post and stripped of his party membership. The parliamentarian has received a letter from the party's chairman, former President Maithripala Sirisena, announcing the expulsion. The letter says Jayasekara's SLFP membership is revoked with effect from 5th of September and that he can no longer serve as the party's General Secretary. SLFP's current acting General Secretary and former Central Province Chief Minister Sarath Ekanayake is tipped to replace Jayasekara. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Sri Lanka expects to forge major deals in its debt restructuring this month as the International Monetary Fund conducts the first review of its $3 billion loan program. Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, said at an investor forum on Tuesday that legislators this week are likely to pass a bill amending tax laws, clearing a legal hurdle and allowing a domestic bond swap to be completed by mid-September. He added that officials are also expected to reach an agreement on how to restructure its foreign debt this month. After months of delay, Sri Lanka is stepping up efforts to fast-track its debt restructuring to help secure more funds from the IMF and set its economy back on track after it defaulted in 2022. Sri Lanka's dollar bondholders and lenders like China and India are closely watching the local debt exchange as creditors seek equal treatment. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On Watchlight, the government is preparing to introduce new laws that would make it an offence to communicate false information online and to incite riots via such false information. The relevant draft bill for these new laws had been drafted and the Cabinet had granted its approval to publish the draft bill via Gazette and produce it to the Parliament for approval. The Department of Government Information said that the draft bill approved by Cabinet of Ministers on Monday is titled the Draft Bill on the Security of Online Methods. The draft bill was produced by the Minister of Public Security and details offences that are carried out via online methods. And that was Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
Say no more to moving and paying rent. Get a home loan from Commercial Bank at the lowest interest rate and get a home of your own.
Which Bhatta are you in now?
In Javatta, in my own house.
World News, the headlines. US warns North Korea would pay a price for any arms deal with Russia. France reportedly in talks with Niger for possible withdrawal of its troops. And Aung San Suu Kyi denied urgent care, says Sun. US officials have warned North Korea it will pay a price if it strikes an arms deal with Russia after saying that negotiations were advancing between the two nations. The White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told a press briefing on Tuesday if Pyongyang provides weapons to Moscow to use in the war against Ukraine, it is not going to reflect well on North Korea and they will pay a price for it in the international community. Sullivan did not elaborate on the potential repercussions for North Korea, which is already under United Nations and US sanctions. The New York Times first reported the potential meeting between Kim and Putin in Russia, saying it's expected to take place this month. France is reported to be in talks with Niger's military about possible withdrawal of French troops from West African nation in the wake of fraying of ties following a coup in July, according to French media reports. France has been in loggerheads with Niger's new military rulers after it refused to recognize the 26th of July coup that ousted President Mohamed Bazoum, a French ally. France's President Emmanuel Macron has continued to back Bazoum, who remains in custody. The younger son of Myanmar's detained former leader Aung San Suu Kyi said she has been denied urgent medical care. Kim Aris said the military junta ruling the country blocked prison authorities' requests for urgent care. Prison sources told BBC Burmese Miss Suu Kyi, aged 78, has been suffering severe toothaches, leaving her unable to eat. Miss Suu Kyi has been detained since February 2021 following the military coup that ousted her. Back to the headlines of the world news. US warns North Korea would pay a price for any arms deal with Russia. France reportedly in talks with Niger for possible withdrawal of its troops. And Aung San Suu Kyi denied urgent care, says Sun. That ends World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
This message is for all the kids between the ages of 4 and 16 who love to draw. Commercial Bank's Arunalu Sittam is back once again. This time, the competition is also open to Sri Lankan kids currently living abroad. First, second and third place prizes will be awarded along with special merit and merit certificates. For more information, visit the Commercial Bank website. We have so many prizes to be won.
Development News is brought to you by
Job opportunities for well-experienced housemaids and home cooks in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait for ages 40 to 58 years. Salary 135,000 rupees. Contact 037 7500 500.
Chairman of the Sectoral Oversight Committee on Food Security and Agriculture, Member of Parliament D. Veerasinghe says that they have already proposed a national policy for agriculture to regulate the usage, quality and price of chemical fertilizers and seed imported to the country based on experimental data carried out for several decades. MP Veerasinghe also mentioned that it has been confirmed that the highest rice yield per hectare can be obtained by using 70% chemical fertilizers and 30% organic fertilizers in proportion based on research conducted since 2003, and the proposed national policy will also include those findings. The chairman of the Sectoral Oversight Committee on Food Security and Agriculture made these revelations at the Presidential Media Centre under the theme Collective Path to a Stable Country. And that was Development News.
Job opportunities for women from Deshakti Lanka in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Oman. Housemaids and home cooks in Saudi Arabia, ages 40 to 58 years. Arabic speaking and well experienced home cooks. Salary 135,000 rupees. Interviews are now on with foreign agents. You can travel overseas free of charge now. Branches Colombo, Kurunegala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 0377 500 500. Deshakti Lanka Foreign Employment Agency.
In sports news, Sri Lanka defeated Afghanistan by 2 runs in a nail-biting contest to progress to the Super 4 stage of the 2023 Asia Cup in Lahore. Chasing a 292-run target, the Afghans were bundled out for 289 in 37.4 overs. Mohammad Nabi slammed a 24-ball half-century that nearly helped Afghanistan beat Sri Lanka to the Super 4 stage in the Asia Cup clash. Kusal Mendis 92 and a late 64-run stand between Dunith Vellalage and Mahesh Dikshana had put Sri Lanka in the driver's seat in Lahore after they opted to bat first in the crucial Asia Cup fixture. Meanwhile, the 7th Super 4 day-night match will get underway in Lahore today at 3:15 p.m. In other sports news, the US Open 2023, Novak Djokovic reached the record's 47th men's Grand Slam semi-final with a straight-set win over Taylor Fritz in the US Open. The Serb, aged 36, prevailed 6-1, 6-4, 6-4 on Arthur Ashe Stadium to continue his pursuit for record-equaling 24th Grand Slam title. Djokovic achieved his victory despite temporarily appearing to struggle with the heat and humidity in New York. The three-time champion will face home hope Ben Shelton in the last four. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Ceylan Cards, the essential card for heartfelt essentials, unveiled an innovative initiative aimed at supporting families and students through the introduction of 0% interest EasyPay payment plan for all school fee payments and purchase of recognized bookshops. With the new offering, Ceylan Cards aims to alleviate the financial burden on parents and guardians, ensuring that every child has access to quality education. The 0% interest easy payment plans are designed to empower families to manage their expenses efficiently while providing students with the necessary tools for academic success. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. The existing restrictions on vehicle imports will further be eased by the end of this year, officials of the Ministry of Finance revealed to the Committee on Public Finance on Tuesday. Accordingly, they stated that existing import restrictions will be lifted by the end of this year. It is to be noted, however, that the said restrictions will not be lifted for the importation of vehicles brought down for personal use. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
The Department of Meteorology predicts showers or thunder showers at times in the western Sabragawa and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara Eliya and Mathura districts today. The Met Department said fairly heavy showers, above 50 millimeters, are likely at some places in the western and Sabragawa province and in the Putlam, Gaul and Mathura districts. It added fairly strong winds of about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour can be expected at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills, northwestern, northern and north central provinces and in the Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. Meanwhile, due to the southward relative motion, the sun is expected to be directly over the latitudes of Sri Lanka till tomorrow. Accordingly, the sun will be directly overhead in Magguna, Baduraliya, Godakavela, Kithul Kote and Meegahaveraliya around noon today. And that was the report. Prior to concluding this news broadcast, the headlines once again. The head of state says a number of new initiatives will be proposed in the upcoming budget to further stabilize the economy. The opposition leader calls for an international investigation into the 2019 Easter Sunday terror attacks. Sri Lanka to chair the Indian Ocean Rim Association for the second time. The HRC has set to investigate over 11,000 public complaints. The existing restrictions on vehicle imports to be further eased by the end of this year. The United National Party is commemorating its 77th anniversary today. International news, US warns North Korea would pay a price for any arms deal with Russia. At Sports 2023 Asia Cup, Sri Lanka beat Afghanistan by 2 rounds to progress to the Super 4 stage. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.